Get you a husband that helps with dishes, though. You like my mess? Today is Sunday and I was gonna start meal prepping everything for the week. Usually on Sundays I make all my veggies and I make my seitan and any like meat substitutes for the week. I just make them in bulk because seitan is kind of a bitch to make. So I thought I would share everything that I prepped today. I've got some quinoa cooking and some lentils, but I'm gonna use the lentils for the seitan. So that's what we're doing today. Got a bunch of carrots, butternut squash, green peppers, red onions, more butternut squash, and I'm going to chop up this cauliflower and roast them all. Some green lentils cooking and some quinoa, and I'll show you what I make with those two. So to these veggies, I'm going to marinate them with some balsamic vinaigrette. I got this one from Trader Joe's. And just put some salt and pepper on these, and then this one I'm gonna season it with some oregano, thyme, salt, pepper, and smoked paprika. Veggies are done. Now I'm gonna start making this seitan. I'm gonna prep everything first and then just show y'all what I do. I kind of combine like 3 different recipes I found. I'll link them all down below. But I kind of made my own seitan recipe out of it. I really like it because I make it in bulk and then I freeze half of it, and then throughout the week I just kind of take it out the freezer and marinate it however I want it. But that's what we're gonna do next. So I'm gonna double this recipe. Okay, so I'm gonna make the flour part. I like to use this Vital Wheat Gluten from Bob's Red Mill. I buy this one in bulk from Amazon. So I'm gonna use 2.5 cups. To that, I'm gonna add some spices. I have some onion powder, salt, nutritional yeast, and black pepper. Go ahead and just mix all that in. So at this point yet, the lentils are still kind of hot and I need to mash them before I add them in here. But I'm going to hold off on the liquid until the lentils are ready to go, because once this wheat gluten gets wet, it becomes super sticky and you got to kind of work fast with it because or else it's hard to combine the rest of the ingredients. So I want to use half a cup of cooked green lentils. I usually use red lentils. They are my favorite to use, but the macro profile on the red lentils are better. They have a little bit more protein and less carbs. The green lentils are fine. All you gotta do is just mash them up really well. If you have a what's called a food processor, that'd be a lot easier. I don't have one, and the NutriBullet just gets stuck, so I just use this like pastry cutter. If you don't mash them up really well, they're gonna show up in the seitan. So you're gonna see like little circles of lentils in them, which I mean it's not bad. Like I don't mind, but they fall out of it and it can get kind of messy. You'll see what I'm saying. That's why I like the red lentil ones better, because they mash up really well. Like red lentils just turn into mush anyways. You're gonna add your lentils in. You're gonna add the tomato paste mixture. And you're gonna mix all of this together till it starts to form a dough. So once it starts to get pretty well incorporated like this, you can go ahead and take it out and start to knead it. So that's the texture we're looking for. I'm gonna cut this into 4 large steak pieces. And then what I'm gonna do at this point is just roll them out a little bit just to flatten them out. I don't mind if they're thick because I end up shredding them. Not shredding them, but I end up cutting them up once they're done. This is about the size that I like them. Kind of, I don't know, the size of my hand. You gotta cook them for about 25 minutes. I have a pot here with some water. It's already hot. So I'm just going to go ahead and place these in. So it's okay if they overlap. You're just gonna flip them. They won't, even if they get stuck together, you can take them off. So that's steaming. We're gonna leave them in here for about 12 minutes and then flip them over. Okay, so this is done for the first 12 minutes. So you'll see they got pretty engorged. So we're just gonna flip them over now. Cook them for another 12 minutes. Really hard to do with one hand. This is what the seitan steaks look like after they've cooled off. So you can see what I was saying about the pieces of lentil. If you don't mash them up all the way, they kind of show in the seitan. You can leave them like this and cook them up, but I like to rip them in half and then tear them up into little pieces. This is what they look like when you shred them up a bit. They kind of look like pieces of carnitas. So yeah, or you can have them steak wise, or you can leave them as steaks, or you can, I made 4 steaks, but you can roll them up in smaller pieces when you steam them and just make them into like steaks. But I like to shred them up like this and then marinate them however I want. Alright, last thing to prep is the tofu. I'm going to prep these into kind of like slabs so we can either eat them in sandwiches for lunch, or I could just throw them in my quinoa salad and chop them up in little pieces. So this is going to be real easy. I have this Cajun seasoning that I'm going to do for half of them, and then the other half I'm going to do some adobo seasoning with pepper and a little bit of onion powder and poultry seasoning. Oil preheating on this pan here, and then I'm just gonna add the tofu steaks on. Alright, I'm gonna flip each over. I was trying to use too much oil, so I just used this spray, oh shit, spray oil on each side. I prepped everything for the quinoa. We have some green onions, tomatoes, 1 jalapeno de-seeded, some cucumber, and some red pepper and orange pepper. And there's some cilantro under there too. So to this I'm gonna add all the quinoa. I made about, I think it was a cup's worth. So I'm just gonna mix it all in with some lime and salt and pepper. This is the finished salad. We got all the veggies mixed in there. I did cook the quinoa in some of the better than bouillon chicken stock, so that it has a little bit of extra flavor. But this I will basically use for myself for lunches as a side salad or extra protein. My husband doesn't really like cucumbers or peppers, so he's not a fan of this. So I left the other half of the quinoa for him, and I'll kind of make that with different veggies throughout the week. But this is gonna be at least 3 servings for me for the week. I'm also gonna make some frijoles. I make them in an Instant Pot because I don't know how to make them on a stove. I never learned, and I think I got a recipe sort of down from what I remember my mom doing. So I'll show you what they look like in the pot. So I rinsed them, I threw them in here. I'm using about 16 ounces of frijoles. I didn't soak them because I don't have time for that, and also isn't that half the benefit of the Instant Pot. I put like a 1/4 of red onion in it, about 4 cloves of garlic, and some paprika, and a crap ton of salt. I'm gonna cook these or pressure cook these for about an hour and then just let them sit. This should last me a while. Typically what I do with all of these beans is I'll freeze half of them once they're ready, and the other half I will keep in the fridge, and we will use them throughout the week. Miguel really likes to eat bacon tempeh for lunch, so we're gonna marinate some of that with this here. These are all the ingredients that we use: maple syrup, soy sauce, pepper, onion, smoked paprika, water. And just marinate that overnight, at least 4 to 6 hours. I like to leave it overnight. Probably the worst part about meal prepping, the humongous mess that's left. Who wants to come clean for me?